This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
Building a portfolio with Fidelity Basket Portfolios is kind of like making a sandwich. It's as simple as picking your stocks and ETFs, sort of like your meats and other toppings, and managing it as one big, juicy investment. Now that's pretty good. Learn more at fidelity.com/baskets. Investing involves risk, including risk of loss. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Media Podcast Network presents This is Protecting America. Now, here's Emmy-winning journalist Rita Cosby.
And welcome to another edition of Protecting America. I'm Rita Cosby. Multiple communication blackouts between the air traffic control tower and planes at Newark Liberty International Airport have spotlighted major infrastructure and staffing problems, as well as huge concerns with the public asking, is it safe to fly? Well, joining us now to discuss all of this is Brigadier General Blaine Holt. He is a former Air Force accident investigator, one of many titles. Other ones are retired U.S. Air Force Brigadier General. He's also a former C-17 combat commander and also a former U.S. Deputy Military Representative to NATO. Brigadier General Holt, what is happening with these lack of communications, these big blackouts?
It's so good to return with you and have this discussion. You know, we've been discussing, it seems like for months now, failures in our aviation system, both military and commercial. Well, Newark Airport is part of the other two in the triangle, LaGuardia and JFK, which makes up the busiest air traffic in the nation. It's a no-fail environment. And so just for 90 seconds on the first time where they had a complete blackout in communication, that alone is horrific enough. Now we have a trend. If you have two incidents, now you've got a trend. And I remind everybody, we spent billions of dollars on a brand new Liberty Newark Airport, food courts, brand new shiny gates. Guess what? No money got spent on. And I know that Secretary Duffy, Department of Transportation, is trying to clean it up. But in the interim, this is a crisis, and it needs to be met with a solid, firm response. I think that comes from the Defense Department. They should deploy an air traffic control team to Newark Liberty, take over operations, and until they can ensure that the FAA has it, then the military needs to own it. It's just that important. You can't make mistakes like this.
Is it an infrastructure issue? Is it a staffing issue? Is it a combination of all of the above?
It's all of the above. And so they failed to invest in the newest technologies that they have needed to woefully for decades. But it's more important than that. They took the money that was supposed to be modernization money and they reprogrammed it in the Biden administration into DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion programs. Because, you know, bridges are racist, and that's part of our transportation system. So the problem here is you have a demoralization. The people who are true professionals come out every day, and they save lives by making our air traffic work the right way. They've been demoralized by these social programs, so the best of the best leave. And then they get rid of the meritocracy, and then they bring in those with diversity, but maybe not a lot of capability and not a lot of training. And this is the cocktail. And so you don't retain the best, and you're not recruiting more. So it's a bad spiral, and it's going to take some time to get out of this. But again, this is a no-fail operation. We can't have this happen at Newark.
Well, and let's get on like sort of the DEI issue. Obviously, anybody who's listening to this podcast says, wait a minute, you shouldn't be looking at DEI in terms of something as pivotal as you were talking about an air traffic controller. That's like saying you're going to be operated on and you're asking, well, what is the ethnic makeup of that individual? I just want the best darn doctor out there. How important is it to absolutely have the most qualified, especially at an important position like an air traffic controller?
Air traffic control, aviation, piloting, maintenance, all those professions, they are exacting professions. And just a sliver of a moment of complacency can kill hundreds of people instantly. And so, to your point, do you want to make sure that the ethnicity makeup and the sexual behavior makeup is to your liking in the front of the cockpit? Or do you want to know that they graduated with honors at pilot training and did their best? In my pilot training class back in 1989, to date myself severely, we had a 25% washout rate. That means that of all the people coming through pilot training, if you couldn't learn fast enough with the gas that the government gave you, you were gone, unemployed. And it's a very tough bar. And unfortunately, that's the way it has to be, because this is a high-risk environment. And people have grown so complacent because we just, in the aviation community, we make it look easy. But behind the scenes, there's a lot of stress. There's a lot of grind. There's constant tests. My entire Air Force career flying airplanes, I lived in fear of my next check ride. I didn't know what that person was going to see and what I was doing, and did I make a mistake, and is this going to hurt me? Because you have to, and then I became the black hatter, and I gave people check rides. It's the same all over aviation. These are high-stress jobs, and the best of the best are the only ones qualified to do them.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Chevrolet.com/service to learn more.
Right now, there's also a fairly young age, especially in relative terms to other professions, in terms of retirement age. Does that need to change? And we are hearing Secretary Duffy saying at least he wants to raise it by a few years. It's in the 50s right now. And that also limits it. On one hand, you want someone who's vibrant and sharp and all those other things, but you also want somebody with some experience.
It's a tricky balance. I understand and this is where I applaud his efforts. He's trying to innovate. He's trying to do different things that might be helpful here. And not all of these ideas are going to be great ideas, but you've got to look at different ways of solving your problem. And he's going after that. So here's the puts and takes. If you tell everybody, hey, to get to retirement age, you now need to stay 5 years longer, that highly stressed group is going to be like, whoa, you're moving the goalpost? Maybe I'm leaving right now. That's one bad part. And the other bad part is you're trying to attract young people to come in, You need to stabilize the benefits so that they can understand the decision they're making when they come in. But again, I'm not poo-pooing any of this. He's got to try different things to stabilize the transportation system that has been just had a wrecking ball taken to it with these socially correct, politically correct Marxist programs that are imperiling us, quite frankly.
How do you recruit more? Because it is such a noble and important profession. I mean, we've heard in recent weeks that recruitment and the military's up because people feel like, okay, it's now focused on being a lethal fighting force. The values are why they wanted to join, not some of the other stuff that we've talked about. Can you do the same thing with air traffic controller, and how do you lure them?
You can. So there's a couple of ways. One, you have to reinstall the meritocracy in a very aggressive way. And there has to be performance benefits to those who are the best. And if you're working Chicago O'Hare and you are like the example, then you should be paid the most. But at the same time, I think all Americans would say, I don't mind paying down my risk when I fly by throwing an extra $15 at a ticket if it's going to go to those brilliant men and women who keep me safe every single day. I'm confident that Americans, if given the choice, would say, yeah, throw another 20 in the till because I'd like the best controller to be working with our airplane.
How much training goes into it? It's a long process because that's one thing that we heard from Secretary Duffy, too, that it's not like you can say, okay, great, we're going to bring it up to speed. We understand there's several thousand short, and yet they have to go through a training facility. The big one is in Oklahoma, and it would be at least, a year and a half at least until they could even get a new class, even if everybody said, I want to sign me up.
Yeah, it's about a year, and even then, once you've graduated, it's not like you're going to go work JFK. You're going to need to go to Ishkabibble, Kansas, and work there for a little while before you're ready to go on to bigger and better. So the pipeline has some limitations to it. We need to expand the pipeline, is what we have to do. Now, one of the things that's an advantage here and can work for us is on the technology side. The training tools and products and simulators that we have now are superior to anything we ever had before. So you can put a student air traffic controller in that situation where there's weather, fog, snow, 100 airplanes in the pattern, and you've got to prioritize. You can put that person in that situation, not just talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a very important thing. How much do you have any idea, like what an air traffic controller makes at all? Like sort of what's the financial incentive?
Yeah, there are financial incentives. So if you go towards more traffic count, meaning I'm going to work at the busier airport and I've been selected for that. Meaning
it's more stressful, right? More stressful too.
Yeah. If you'll load up more stress, you'll be loading on more pay. So that's the kind of the gives and the takes. But you have to be qualified to get into that. And so those are kind of your incentives along the way. But there needs to be right now. I think that your base level controller is probably starting entry level wages at about 45, maybe 50 a year. It's very low. But then it can go right on up to GS-15 pay grade, somewhere around 127 a year, maybe 150 a year, and then in the managerial roles more. But what I would say is, right now we have a retention issue, and I would say above and beyond that, just like we do in the military, performance bonuses or enhancement bonuses for your career field. We can't let controllers get away from Newark that have Newark experience, so go ahead and pay them. It's not that much money in the big scheme of things. After all, the Fed's writing $1 trillion checks once a year. So paying down a little bit of America's aviation risk is absolutely not that much money.
Yeah, for peace of mind. The other issue, too, of course, is infrastructure. How big of a problem is this very old system at Newark Liberty? I mean, we've heard that just in recent days they're adding these 2 high-speed redundant telecom lines because I guess they didn't have the second line, and fiber optic lines that, attached to it, connecting at LaGuardia and Newark, JFK. How important are all these sort of redundancies?
Well, this is just a symptom of a bigger cancer that is inside our government right now. And it's a very telling one. And the reason is because Congress or the agency involved is consistently reprogramming monies out of one thing and into another. And when they do that, they'll say, and this is when I was on active duty, this is the statement I used to hate the worst out of generals and senior leaders is, well, we'll just have to accept some risk in that account. And they say it across the government, and it's their favorite buzzword when they're going to rob Peter to pay Paul. So I'm going to put some money in the DEI account, and I'm going to take it out of the modernization account. Eventually, those crows come home to roost, and it's not a pretty sight. So we had 2 instances at Newark in the past 20 days that could have cost hundreds and hundreds of lives. And had that happened, you and I wouldn't be having a pleasant talk about how to fix this. We'd be asking whose heads need to roll over this. And it's got to get fixed soon, because this is a very blaring part of what is dangerous about DEI.
Yeah, absolutely. And describe what happened in those 2 incidences, because one of them, what was it, anywhere from 45 to 90 seconds, a blackout. I mean, that is absolutely frightening. But describe sort of what happened in those 2 incidents, Blaine.
Yeah, so it's about the same comparable time. You have a blackout in the system where the tower and its digital communication means, its voice communication means, just goes out. Well, if you're in the airplane, we have procedures. We call them NORDO procedures, or no radio procedures. So everybody understands, the pilots all understand, okay, I can't communicate with anybody. I'm going to look at my radar scope on my own airplane, for lack of a better term. I don't want to be too technical here. And I'm going to try to deconflict myself using those procedures that I know. So there is a backstop in that 90 seconds of terror. Here's the problem. The problem is we become so reliant on the technology and the technology inside these airplanes that we have bet everybody's lives on that technology. So those 90 seconds, if all there was 50 airplanes in the pattern at Newark, well, that'd be great. But there's 300 airplanes in the regional area around the 3 airports, including the 60 to 70 that Newark's working. So now you've got a situation where the pilot is like, I know the rules, I know the procedures, but they're not going to guarantee that saves my crew and my passengers' lives right now, because it's just too saturated. So if you're going to rely that much on technology and you're going to have a no-fail environment, well, then you have to answer for when it does fail. And I think I hope we've learned a lesson that doesn't require us to lose life.
How frightening is that, to lose communication? You're up in a plane, and there was one report. This was a cargo plane. I believe it was the FedEx cargo plane, and the air traffic controller is heard even in the communications that came out saying, maybe you want to tell your company to basically speak up. In other words, we're complaining here left and right about the need and the archaic systems and everything else. We need your help too. I mean, that sounded like a desperate plea for help.
Yeah, it is a cry for help, and those are stressed out people making that cry. And I'll tell you, in the aviation community, it's a brotherhood and a sisterhood. And when I say the family, I mean the air traffic controllers, the maintainers, the pilots, the flight attendants. They're all in the same family, and those words are taken very seriously. But at the same time, to your point, if I'm in the cockpit and I'm a captain of a C-17 and I'm in that type of situation, my first thought, my gut reaction is, get me to an altitude nobody's working at, and we're out of here. We're not going to be anywhere. I don't know where we were going, but we're not going here, so we're leaving. It's a very dangerous situation. I remember one night I was flying into Frankfurt, and it was the first time we were getting night vision goggles, and we were fiddling around with these things. And I just decided, I'll put these night vision goggles here in the night arrival at Frankfurt International Airport. And I saw maybe 150 airplanes the second I put them on.
Wow.
And I immediately took them off and said, okay, that's too much information. I'm just going to follow these procedures. So it's very dangerous. And we do count a lot on those controllers, and we can't let the good ones go.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original. which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
Hi, this is Joe from Vanta. In today's digital world, compliance regulations are changing constantly, and earning customer trust has never mattered more. Vanta helps companies get compliant fast and stay secure with the most advanced AI, automation, and continuous monitoring out there. So whether you're a startup going for your first SOC 2 or ISO 27001, or a growing enterprise managing vendor risk, Vanta makes it quick, easy, and scalable. And I'm not just saying that because I work here. Get started at vanta.com.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply.
Yeah, that is a powerful, powerful message, Blaine. It's like it just shows how overwhelming the task is and also what they're juggling. What about also just other construction that was being done? There was also an issue, I think, on the runway. There's these runways under construction. People are saying, how can you even accommodate all these planes, whether it's on the sky or even on the ground?
There's so much business pressure. And I don't mean the management team. I mean out of the boardrooms. And then the boardrooms are the ones that direct the company to pay for the lobbyists. And the lobbyists are the ones that go ahead and hammer the congressman. What it all amounts to is squeezing the leadership at Newark Airport or JFK or Peterborough or whatever. When they have to do construction on their runways, they're expected to keep up the capacity. Ronald Reagan, where the helicopter incident happened, I think they're only really designed for 5,000 a month, and they're doing 15,000, something crazy like that. It's nuts. I may have my numbers wrong, and forgive me if I do, but what I can tell you, it's a factor of over 3 times what they should be doing there. And then we found out that evening that it's minimally manned here in the tower. That cannot be. It's not acceptable. In fact, it's not when we're going to have. It's not if we're going to have an accident. It's when we're going to have an accident. And so maybe the blessing of this Newark thing, what happened in D.C., is that it's shining a blaring light and a warning sign that Secretary Duffy can then take to the Hill and say, if we have a problem, this is going to be on all of you.
Yeah, that's a great point, because as you brought up, this has been going on for a long, long time. Who really do you believe is to blame? I mean, Secretary Duffy has brought up President Biden. He's brought up, his predecessor, Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. Was this a blaring sign under them especially?
Yeah, it really was. There was a lot of damage done in the last 4 years. But there's been a lot of damage done going right back to the Clinton days. Clinton robbed the cupboard. And then you get into a situation where when we have such a very low accident commercial air traffic system, people take it for granted. When they take it for granted, then people want what they want. But they don't want to have to worry about how the sausage is being made. So when the pressure goes through the lobbyists and the pressure goes through Congress and the poor managers in these agencies are put out to wet to dry, they're the ones that are holding the bags. And then you sit there and you say, Director of Reagan Airport, what's wrong with you? You're incompetent. We're going to skewer you. And it's like, no, No. Stop right there. This is Congress. This is K Street. And this poor person is the one who's the bag holder. And we should just salute them because they stayed on watch.
Yeah, you're right. It's incredible. Like you said, hanging on by a thread and doing the best they can with what they have been given. The big question everybody has, Blaine Holt, is it safe to fly?
Yeah, I mean, the thing nobody likes to hear, especially from an ancient old graybeard aviator like me, is, well, statistically, it's better than getting into your car. And that's still true. And it is safe to fly. And the numbers are still good. And there are tremendous people moving you safely around the country every day. When we talk about, 900 and takeoffs and landings just every single day in the United States Air Force Air Mobility Command, everywhere in the world, or the FedEx and what they do, or Delta, they have tremendous people. But we have paid money as a nation to have a little to no risk environment for commercial aviation. So even that going up from 2% to 3 to 4 to 5% risk of major aviation accident, it's unacceptable for the resources that we extend to this enterprise.
We just need to focus them appropriately and immediately, right?
That's exactly correct.
Well, General Blaine Holt, it's been great having you here. Everybody, be sure to subscribe and share to this podcast. And Brigadier General Blaine Holt, thank you for your service. And thank you for this was such an illuminating and powerful podcast, and really important for the flying public and all of us to hear, and especially also the lobbyists and politicians too, as well. Really great to have you here, Blaine.
Always my pleasure. Thank you.
And everybody, I'll be back soon with another great edition of Protecting America. And of course, you can catch me every weeknight, 10 p.m. to midnight on the legendary WABC Radio. This is Rita Cosby, and thanks for all you do to protect America.